Korean Wave is an influential global phenomenon impacting contemporary culture. Has K-pop been slowly killing OPM? Hi, I am Champagne Scorius, a 19-year-old student of Caraga State University, and I'm here to talk about that. Korean Wave, or most commonly known as K-pop, has been a trend for quite some time, and it will not leave the mainstream media anytime soon either. K-pop has established a quite formidable branding, and the Filipino community is quite ecstatic about it. First, we must know the background as to what makes K-pop K-pop. Modern K-pop first aired in the 90s when Seo Taiji and the Boys released their first track, I Know. The band blended American New Jack Swing with contemporary pop, a sound which has dominated the Korean music charts for 17 weeks, leaving the slower ballads behind the shadows, which were supposedly popular at the time. With the pioneering of Korean pop culture, everything fell along like dominoes, paving the way as to what it has become now. Now let us tackle original Filipino or Pinoy music. OPM has emerged from the early 70s, which has quickly circulated throughout the major towns and onto small barangays. OPM leans to acoustic side of music genre, though there are also a lot of other genres OPM has to offer. Though the acoustic genre finds more success, between the two, OPM and K-pop vary on its dynamics. OPM being more lyric-oriented and acoustic, which has good use for serenades, while K-pop on the other hand has loud and fast-paced music, mostly accompanied with bright colors, energetic dances, and aesthetic of uniqueness. Marketing strategies. The K-pop industry has started with composers and musicians debuting on their own. Without much funding, the Korean media at the time provide television shows that allows them to introduce themselves and showcase what they have got without worrying too much on how to achieve publicity because it is a live telecast. OPM, on the other hand, mostly picks already famous artists and finds them composers and musicians to work with. This means even before they release music, the artist already has a foundation of fans and has built his branding because they are already TV or movie stars. Now, the involvement of the government. With K-pop's rising popularity, the Korean government stepped in and found this as an economic opportunity. Korea's third major export is its K-pop industry, dominating the world like soft influence power. Korean government supports the K-pop industry, that is why it has flourished so much since then. Today, Korean government has a budget of 5.5 billion US dollars. Going to the Philippine government, as of now there is no budget for the OPM industry. Thus, in return, they do not have enough budget for further improvement, marketing, and branding. Comparing each country's strategy with regards music industry, Korea has been the backbone support system for their industry. Though the Philippines does not have a direct funding for OPM industry, the budget for the culture and the arts is 26.933 million pesos. If technically speaking, cultural music is supposed to be the original Filipino or Pinoy music. Though on this part, I believe that this one is really dying. Not because of the influence of K-pop, but because it lacks education towards the youth. It isn't as seriously as thought as the other fields of subjects during the elementary, high school, and senior high school. I believe there should be furthermore changes with regards to the curriculum in order to incorporate our heritage and culture. And another additional factor to it dying is because of parents lack to teach their kids. Unlike the IP or indigenous people, they really are motivated to inculcate the culture to their children. So simply saying, it is the laziness of the people. Now, going back, K-pop industry now does not just affect the music industry, but also clothing, food, lifestyle, technology, and cosmetics. The Korean wave really shows its influence, especially to the Philippines. Most of the clothing trend nowadays are Korean inspired. Many Filipinos are hooked with their music, especially the younger generations. Filipinos also are adapting to Korean culture and language not just because of the aesthetic, but also because they admired as to how the Korean media presents it to them. Personally, I do not think that OPM is dying, because Filipino people who indulge to K-pop also listen to OPM. And now the industry is slowly reviving its pace to keep up with Korea. And I find it irrelevant if we compare them because each has their own distinctiveness, and it is okay for people to like one and not like the other one, or they could like both. It does not make a Filipino less of its identity just because of their music taste. One's identity is much more than that. In conclusion, it isn't the Korean wave or K-pop's fault that people think OPM is dying. It's the Filipino people itself. That is all, and good day.